Thanks for staying with us. It's been a tough couple of years for South Africans, with the cost of living soaring as price increases seem to snowball. Despite this, we haven't lost our charitable spirit. Nedbank's annual giving report has revealed that over 80% of the country's top earners gave of their money, time or skills during 2021. Around 4 billion rand in cash was donated, just under 3 billion rand in goods and services was contributed, and over 3 million hours of their time was offered. Let's find out some more about this with Hein Klee. He's from the Nedbank Private Wealth unit and he joins us virtually from Cape Town. Hein, thank you so much for your time this evening. Some fascinating reading here by the giving report. We've spoken about the percentage of money given, time given. How does it compare to other years, and what did you believe impacted this year's set of numbers?
Thank you very much for having us. I think we really appreciate that you've picked up a report which is very close to our hearts. We tend to do the survey every 2 years, so this is the 5th report. So we've seen a drop in the actual cash values by about 2 billion over the 2-year period. The last survey was done in 2019. So we've seen a slight drop, but I think the positive sign that we have seen is that the cash contributions that people have donated has slightly dropped. But what we've seen from individuals is almost the stance that I'd rather give something than nothing. So I think that's very, very positive to us, specifically from the 148,000 people that sits in the ultra-high net worth individual, of which we've interviewed about 410 of them across South Africa.
I see, according to your report as well, that around 21% of your respondents felt less financially secure, as you mentioned there, than they did before the pandemic. That, as you mentioned, even though they perhaps weren't as flush, if I could use that phrase, as they were a few years ago, they still felt it important to give. Was there an indication as to what were the causes they really wanted to support in this regard?
It actually varies from various sectors, but it's really around community upliftment, social development. What our studies has also indicated that a lot of people are saying, I'm donating or giving, but I'd want that to actually be in my community, within the areas that I'm staying. So social development is quite a big one. A very interesting factor that we've brought into the survey for this specific year was an open question on what needs to change in the environment for you to give more. And one of the top 4 things that came through is an improvement in the economy. Now, we were actually quite surprised because we would have thought tax breaks in the high net worth individual area would be a very big driver. And out of the 408 people that we interviewed, no one indicated that tax or tax incentive is an incentive for them to actually give more, which basically indicates to us that even through tough times, people are actually very generous towards giving time, goods, and obviously money towards the end of causes.
Now, if you've got money, anybody can give money. But I found it quite telling that a sizable amount of the percentage of giving was time and skills that was given. What more can you tell us about how that time was given and what kind of skills are we talking about here?
Look, I think what we found is people donating, and I think one of the things that we couldn't measure through COVID lockdown is the time that was donated from various hospitals, hotels and individuals itself. So a lot of the time are spent towards elderly care, volunteering at schools, soup kitchens. So a lot of the time that we are seeing are coming through in that. One of the areas that we've started encouraging some of our clients in Nedbank Private Wealth is professional people, accountants, lawyers, etc., to donate some of their time pro bono to a lot of these organizations, because a lot of them lack that skill for financial, for law, etc., etc. So that's an area that we do think is a little bit lagging when it comes to time donated to various organizations.
Now, corporate entities giving money is one thing, but your survey also speaks about high net worth individuals, which I've just found out is also an abbreviation, HNWI, which means I'm not one, if I didn't know that. What are we talking about? What kind of money or value are we talking about? Because we do know in South Africa that because of the high inequality in South Africa, the percentage of people who are considered high net worth individuals is a small percentage, but it's a very impactful percentage, isn't it? What kind of money are we talking about there in terms of these individuals, and how are they approaching their charitable giving?
Look, I think it's important, and that's one of the important things that we've discovered in the study. And I think it was our second report. We've actually been able to establish that as you would say, the ultra high net worth individual sector in South Africa is about 148,000 people, and we classified those as people earning more than 1.5 million rand per year and have investable assets of about 5 million rand a year. Now, what is very interesting, if we take that universe, about 83% of the 147,000 people actually give in some form or the other, either through money, through time, or through actually coming through, even in the way in which people are giving. So that's a very interesting trend for us, and I think it's a healthy trend that we've picked up, is that the younger people, which don't necessarily have the asset base to take the proceeds from assets to give, they are actually taking from their income. So, after paying all of their services, all of their goods, they still have extra disposable cash that they are giving towards various causes. And, we're also going into December period. That's the time for giving. And that, interestingly enough, is usually the busiest time for various charities from, NGOs and NPOs, because a lot of people start giving either money, goods or services. In many cases, we start seeing them giving stationery towards schools. So it's actually the busiest time of the year for a lot of charities is around the period of December.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for your time this evening. That's Hein Klee from the Nedbank Private Wealth Unit. He is joining us there from Cape Town. We thank him for his time this evening.